What's going on, everybody? Nate Powers here with Sticks and Crits, and I'm joined today by the lore master of the Forgotten Realms himself, Mr. Jordan Peterson. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing really well, thank you.
Um,
Yeah, it was great to watch you guys. Because although I ran the adventure like 4 or 5 times, I didn't get the chance to have another DM run it for me
mhm.
before the playtest. So it was really interesting watching you guys and being like, oh, like I don't know, it's really cool. So I was excited that you guys were running it and that you were streaming it so that I could see.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of weird taking a back seat and watch people kind of play with your work. I know I have that feeling all the time in the film business, so it must be a
Oh yeah, for sure.
whole new feeling.
No, it was interesting because, and I don't know. We can talk about whatever, I guess. But watching I know the adventure, and then watching the players like make a bunch of left turns, and you were
Yeah.
just like, maybe you want to make right turns.
Exactly.
Was really interesting, and I was like, oh man, what is he gonna do? This is crazy.
Yeah, I knew I had a chore on my hands because the players I got together are as my regular group, and they're a bunch of munchkins. So
Yeah.
I knew they'd throw wrenches into my plans, but I think all in all it went really well. It wasn't hard to kind of keep the integrity of the adventure intact.
Oh no, for sure. It went swimmingly well. I think you did a great job, and it was really fun to watch. So
Thank you. Yeah, and it was really written to where whoever's running it and takes the time to prepare is really able to kind of make it their own and tweak it and come up with their own little optional stuff and things like that. So what made you want to write a module in the first place? Before we get into
oh
it?
man, that's a good question. I think like I had a lot of friends who were just getting into D&D and talking to people on the internet, like reading a bunch of Reddit posts and stuff that aside from the uh, Lost Mines of Foundelver module that Wizards of the Coast put out, there isn't really a good starting adventure. Like I just want to test the waters of D&D. And
Mhm.
so when people came to me on the internet and would say, hey, Jordan, where do I start? I wanted to be able to hand them something, and I'm like, you should start here. Like this is going to take you one evening of play.
Here we go.
It's going to explore all the different aspects of the game. Like you'll have combat, you'll have exploration, you'll have skill challenges, you'll have yeah, basically that. So I wanted to be able to have something that when people came to me, I could point to them like, here, take this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was kind of the idea with it. And so that's where the adventure spawned. Like I wanted to write something. I was already working on stuff for my home game, and it kind of blossomed out of that. And I just fine tuned it a little bit. And then yeah, and also I just wanted to try out the DM's Guild publishing system.
Yeah, they got a lot of great features.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you can borrow everything from the Forgotten Realms. From when you publish on the DM's Guild, they give you carte blanche to take Forgotten Realms material and
That's
use
great.
it. So I was able to put it in the city of Longsaddle, and I was
Right.
able to do a bunch of other use Forgotten Realms things and mythologies in the adventure itself.
Yeah, and I like how you
Because
added that little flavor there for people who are, because most people who are starting out, they're intimidated by homebrew. So it's like, well, if you want to do Forgotten Realms, here's all that information.
yeah,
But you can just plug this into anywhere, which I think is pretty
which
compelling.
like Forgotten Realms can be really intimidating too, which is
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of the reason I started the whole Forgotten Realms Explained YouTube channel, because I was trying to like wrap my head around it, and I'm like, this is way too confusing.
Oh yeah.
And so, but it's the default setting for D&D. So when people start playing D&D for the first time, they are shown, here's the Forgotten Realms, and here's what you can use the Forgotten Realms for,
Yeah.
which can be kind of intimidating again. And so going back to what I said earlier, like I wanted this, here's this adventure you get to have. Like
Absolutely.
it self-contained, don't worry about everything else, just worry about what's in these like 10 pages.
Were there any like little bits and encounters and things that you wanted to try to squeeze in there but you couldn't fit?
There is too much, I think. Like playtesting it, I think when we actually ran every encounter that I had in there, we were at like 5 hours, like 5.5 hours, and I really wanted to keep it around like 4 hours.
Mhm.
3.5 to 4 hours. So that's why I made some of the battles optional.
Right.
So to answer your question, nothing specifically that like, did I get to put nothing that I left out that I really wanted to have in the adventure, but definitely like the battle with the wolves and some of the kobold fights on the inside are unnecessary, and you can X those to have a more streamlined module. So
yeah, I ended up not doing the wolf encounter, and I think we were just under 4 hours. So if you add all the optional stuff, I could see it being 4.5.
Or even like at the very beginning, I'm like, hey, if your players want to explore the town and have a dice game or have this, like that adds another 45 minutes to play that game and explain the rules and things like that. But some players want that, and some DMs want that. Like playing that dice game and flushing out the beginning of the city is a little more important than the fights with the kobolds in the caves. So
yeah, it definitely is catered to your different groups. I've been watching lots of Dragon Heist streams, and everybody does that beginning bar scene like so differently.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have all the different options to kind of cater it to the party.
Yeah, for sure. And then just kind of what your party wants to do. So if they're more interested in playing dice with the local people at the tavern, then let them play dice is kind of what I say.
Yeah, exactly. And you can use it to kind of help build their rapport with the people and make them, at least as much as you can make a PC like NPCs, like, and be invested in the town and want to get into the skill challenge later to save the inn and all that stuff. So how much playtesting did you actually do before you decided to put this up?
Well, so I officially ran it 3 times. Which is not nearly as much as I wanted to.
Right.
But eventually I couldn't coordinate people to run it again. Like I had ran it for a home group here. I ran it for 2 groups here where I live with people at my table. And then I ran it once online. And I had another online setup ready to go, but then everybody was like, well, we're not going to be able to play until the new year. And I kind of wanted to get the adventure out because I've been sitting on it for quite a while. So not as much as I wanted to, but I remember I was watching Sly Flourish. He has a Twitch show that he does, and he was asked the question, like, if you're going to publish something, like, how much playtesting should it be? And he was recommending like 4 to 5 playtests to really like fine tune it. So I didn't get his... No, I wasn't terribly far off. That's what I was going to say. Like I haven't, I not as much as I wanted to, but I feel like I got enough for the 10-page adventure that it is. So, and especially watching you play it, I was like, no, I think it works.
Yeah, it definitely came together really well. Now this seems like really great, like training ground for anybody who wants to write doing a module like this. Is that something that you're looking forward to doing more of, like making more modules?
Yeah. I definitely want to write more stuff, but I don't know if it's going to be a module per se. Like, I really want to make some like random tables to roll magic to create magical items. So I was thinking that might be the next thing that I write is being able to take like, here's 5 or 6 different dice. I throw them all down at the same time, and then I can pick and choose numbers or on tables, and then through those tables I can create like a unique magical item is kind of an idea. So that's something that I want to work on next, and I've done the preliminary starts of that, but it's I'm so busy with the channel, with Christmas, with a bunch of other stuff.
It's the worst time of year to do it.
It's just not going to happen anytime soon. But maybe another adventure. This is kind of an introductory thing, so maybe I'll make like a sequel to it, basically. Like, you've done this one, now your players are level 6 to 7, and do like a more moderate one, or maybe I'll make another one. So I've got some other friends, I've got some friends that are working on some stuff for the DMs Guild, and they've asked me to write for them.
Awesome.
And I have not given them a yay or nay yet because I've just been busy. But maybe that'll be the next thing that I start writing. So I don't know. It's really fun, and it's surprisingly easy to publish on the DMs Guild. So if you're interested in doing it, you should definitely like look into that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really fun coming up with really cool plot twists, and doing all the nitty gritty work anyway. You might as well show it off and have a little fun with the community while you can, right?
Yeah. It's super fun.
So we're going to dive right into the different things that I loved about this adventure. I'm going to do some pros and cons. Now, there weren't that many cons, but for the sake of my integrity as a reviewer on this, I had to pull up 1 or 2. So
No, constructive criticism is awesome.
Yeah, and they're not even that major. They're just like silly personal things. But my favorite thing is just how versatile it was. I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the module. But I just love that you can click it into any game you're running. If you didn't have time, during the week to really figure it out, you can kind of just like, oh well, this is a quick adventure. It took me like 30 minutes to prepare, like no time at all. It's kobolds, and there's some traps, and there's a really fun twist at the end. It's just all of it is just really nice design.
Sweet. I agree.
Yeah.
In the most vain way possible, I guess. I'm like, yeah, it was really good. Like,
yeah. I also really like the like I said before, the little twist at the end. Not many people get to face a kobold dragon tank. Sure, and the way it was written, it was told to give them the check right when they enter the door. I ended up holding back on that because my players are a little more experienced. I wanted them to make it a little harder for them to figure it out.
Right. So people that might not know, the spoilers, I guess, if you think you're going to play in this. But if you're going to run it, then we can openly talk about it. Absolutely. Is at the very end of the module, they're going to fight a dragon, but it turns out to be some kind of like mechanical dragon tank that the kobolds have like created. And in the adventure, I say on initiative count 20, everybody should make Arcana checks to see if they can see through this illusion of a dragon tank, or see through the illusion of a dragon to understand that it's not real. Mm-hmm. You decided not to do that when you ran it, which was awesome.
Yeah, and it definitely, like, they had already done like kind of a boatload of damage, so I kind of regret it because they didn't get to do the thing I envisioned where they open up the hatch and like yank the kobolds out, and,
right?
Do some RP intimidating, but it was still a pretty deadly fight. I think I dropped the cleric at one point, so it was definitely a blast, and they all got a kick out of it.
Yeah, it's so fun. The first time I ran it, my players ended up picking up wasp's nest from the kobold inventors, and they ended up dropping that into the dragon tank and like sealing it up. Awesome. And so then the dragon was like going crazy because the controls were all messed up because they were being stung on the inside. And that was really fun. Like and there's multiple ways to win, which is another fun aspect of the game. I think like you can try and take down the dragon tank itself, or you can. It's more of a puzzle encounter. Like how do we get the kobolds out? And how do we take them out? Once you understand that it is a construct. Yeah,
it tests the creativity of the players, and I think that's something that my party kind of like looks over now because they've played so many times. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna use my crazy powerful abilities and
right,
murder hobo everything. But when you're a new player, you're like, oh well, I can't beat this thing. How do I do it?
Yeah, so that's the number one thing is, or I guess like there is the twist at the end where it's not a real dragon, but like you would be, every time I ran this, people were just like, we're gonna go up against a dragon and we're level 4.
Yeah.
And like veterans of D&D know, they're like, there must be something going on because like we can't fight a dragon. It's not gonna happen. And I'm like, you never know. You guys, you've been hired. You're trust in the adventure. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of equate it to in Mines of Phandelver, when you go to Thunder Tree and you end up fighting a green dragon around level 3, level 4. And so I kind of looked at it like, well, we got through that fight, so this should be good for them to handle. I think they should be able.
Yeah.
And I actually underpowered the party. I did 4 level 3 characters.
Yeah. So usually it's 5 characters level 3 or 4 characters level 4. But you decided to keep them a little underpowered, which worked really well. So that's another fun aspect to test and see that it was successful.
Definitely. I definitely could have made the dragon fight a little harder because they were a little spent after the Roper fight. Yeah. Which is like the kind of like sleeper all-star of this module. I thought the Roper fight was pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, the Roper fight's a lot of fun. I wanted there to be like not a mini boss, maybe like a super challenging fight that actually was a challenging fight, but it was optional. Yeah. So if they wanted to run away, they could run away. And I did have 2 of my playtesters actually fought and defeated the Roper, and one of them decided to run away from the Roper because they were just rolling poorly.
Yeah.
It's got a high AC. Like it's not a easy monster to fight. So
and it gets advantage on all those attacks while they're grappled and all those good things. So but yeah, it was definitely really great how even though all of this like big fun hard hitting encounters are spread throughout, you can really knock this thing out in 3 to 4 hours, which is like the perfect session time, if you ask me.
Yeah, for a one shot, definitely. I think I'm slightly envious of the people that play for like 5 or 6 hours, but like all of my tables, we always play for 3 to 4 hours. D&D holds people's attention just long enough.
Yeah, those were the college days for me, staying up all night, ignoring my studies, just rolling dice till 3 in the morning or whatever we did.
Nice.
And this module's really well thought out and detailed. You know, you have a lot of good NPCs, a lot of different dungeon flourishes, and you know, you really describe the landscape well. So the amount of detail putting in, but also leaving room for DMs to add their own flair and spin to it is just really nice.
Yeah, it's fun. Hopefully that's what dungeon masters do. So I like to leave it open enough that a DM can make it their own module, which is the goal, I think, of any writer of a module. You don't want them to run it exactly how you wrote it. You want them to make it their own. So
yeah, exactly. And you write in there very well, like, oh, you should definitely change these things or just fit it in, you know, put your own spin on it. You make it very abundantly clear that, you know, for new players who are DMing and this is the first module they run, maybe it's like kind of really good introductory, almost masterclass on it. I only had really two I don't even want to say issues because they're really kind of minor.
Bring it on. Let's talk about it.
So I thought that one of the things that was kind of lacking was memorable NPCs. You got the mayor and the innkeeper, and they're great. I loved role-playing the innkeeper.
Yeah, you did a great job. Like, you put
you.
a funny voice on him and like made him really interesting, and like, yeah, that was fun.
Playing gnomes is just a really good excuse to act silly at the table and, you know, get some laughs. He's running around being busy. But I wish there was like maybe one more, or maybe like a side quest, you know, character that you could talk. Blacksmith's daughter got kidnapped. I had this funny idea where maybe, the blacksmith's daughter was also kidnapped, but then you go to save her and she's like, you know, trying to save the kobold. She actually likes them and is like, you know, an activist for their rights, and I thought that would be a little silly to do. But
yeah,
just like one more to kind of really add the little punch to it, just a little more RP and at least in the cave section. I thought it was a lot of fun.
In an earlier draft, I had that they had to like rescue more or less a princess. Like it was just a nondescript NPC, but I'm like, they have to rescue the princess at the end of the dungeon kind of a thing. But ultimately, like playtesting it and stuff like that, like the players' greed just kind of like ran out or trumped anything else that they did. So they're like, oh, there's a bunch of gold in there. Like, we'll run in and save, or we'll defeat the dragon just for that. And then I didn't want to detract away from the town itself was the one that needed saving. You know, it was the people of the whole town. But yeah, having a clear goal of like, we have to save this person would have been something to do. So yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like, you know, the main storyline of it is enough, and it's a lot of fun, and it'll keep new players like enthralled in the game. But another thing, like I think you recommend in there to have like a backup character made for the NPCs or something in case one of them dies. I had like a Kobold Ranger that was going to be like a traitor, and he would know where all the traps were. So if someone died, they could pick him up. Something like that I think would have been really cool. And
that is definitely something I should have incorporated, because although I didn't run into any death is always a possibility. And for new players at the table to be like, well, you died, what do we do now? Do we spend like an hour for you to roll a new character and figure out a way of its being here? Or do I just hand you a sheet and say, you're going to be this Kobold Ranger? Like, that would have been really smart.
Yeah.
And maybe something I can still incorporate, because that's the cool thing about the Dungeon Masters Guild is you can edit and update the documents. So maybe I'll work on that, because I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, and that was kind of like my other the other con I had written out is like more options for experienced players. Even though it's pretty strong already, having the extra wolf encounter, having, you know, the extra NPCs, just to like kind of like modularize the module even more, I think would be great for experienced parties and DMs to kind of like flavor the fun and add some more challenges, maybe add more traps or things like that. But overall, this was like a really solid first outing for you, so congrats. It gets a 4.9 out of 5 from me. I can't give anything 100% because then, you know, there's never room to improve. But
there's always room for improvement. So.
Yeah, and I've done quite a few modules. I think I've been playing for like almost 15 years now, so this was like up there for one of my favorites.
Cool. Have you written any modules then? Like, tried to publish any?
You know, I haven't. I do a lot of writing on the side just in my job but I actually try to build classes more because I'm more of like a I'm more of like a mechanics nerd. I like trying to break games and really figure out cool balances and stuff. So I've been like one I've been working on is like a kind of a different version of how the Way of Four Elements is. So I'm making like a subclass for sorcerer and giving them like martial arts and stuff. No, I spend so much time in like building my campaign world. I don't really have time to do a module. But this has inspired me. I might just do it.
You should do it. I think it's a really good learning experience for me, like to write something that is for other people, because when you write for yourself, you're like, oh, I know what this means, or I can like write this down. And you can kind of cobble your story or your world, your game together. But you really have to think about like, how do I translate these thoughts to somebody else when you're writing for somebody else? And so that was a challenge for me, and I had a lot of fun figuring out how to do that. I guess it really puts my own writing into perspective when I'm writing for myself, I guess.
Yeah, and then Matt Colville dropped Strongholds and Followers, and it's like,
oh man,
I should have wrote. Have you been diving into it?
Yeah, for sure. So I got my PDF epic. Like a couple days ago or yesterday, I think it came out, and I've been reading it. I can't wait I like physical books, so I can't wait for the physical book of that, but it's really awesome. This has been the Strongholds and Followers podcast.
Yeah. It's been really it's been making me regret not pre-ordering because I want that hardcover really bad. It looks so nice.
He went above and beyond with that. Like I was saying on the Saturday morning D&D show this morning, like, I don't know what my expectations were, but he surpassed them 100%. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is really professionally done. Like, it's nice.
And I'm really excited to actually stream the module in there. So
that'll be fun.
Check that out. Yeah. Do you have any like closing comments or anything for any of our viewers?
Check out the VOD of the show that you guys did of the module, because I think you guys did a great job. And if you're interested in it, it's only $1 to pick up on Drive-Thru RPG or DM's Guild, sorry. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you are gonna run it, stream it, even if you are not streaming it on the web, like if you're just going to run it in your home, send me a tweet and just be like, hey, we're running your module and we really like it, or this is where I think it can improve, because feedback is always awesome. So
definitely. And we're going to leave all the links for all that stuff in the description, as long as links to your channel and all the social medias, because that's important. So thank you so much for sitting down with me. This has been a blast. Always good talking to you.
Yeah, this was way fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Until next time, guys, stay nerdy and keep rolling.
Take care.